Hello grade 11 students, and welcome to our first English A past paper review. I'm sure you're in full preparation mode for examinations, and in order to help you along, we will be going through a series of past papers that will be able to guide you towards getting yourself a good grade at your CSEC examinations. So today, we will be looking at the structure of our paper ones. The format of your English language examination is that it consists of 3 papers. You have a paper 1, which will be our focus for a series of lessons. You have a paper 2, and you have your paper 3-1, which is the SBA. If you are a private candidate, your final paper would be paper 3-2. So let's get into the structure of your paper 1. As I said before, this will be our focus for a series of lessons until we move on to the structure of your paper 2. The English A examination is offered at the general proficiency level. The assessment comprises 3 papers, paper 1, 2, and 3, as we stated previously. Papers 1 and 2 are assessed externally, while paper 3 is the school-based assessment that is assessed internally by your teacher and moderated by CXC. The knowledge and skills that students are expected to develop upon completion of this syllabus has been grouped under 2 profile dimensions: understanding and expression. However, it must be noted that the entire weighting of the paper 1 component focuses on the profile dimension 1, which is understanding. The duration of your paper 1 is 1 hour 30 minutes. That is a total of 90 minutes. Additionally, your paper 1 accounts for 29% of your total assessment. It consists of 60 compulsory multiple choice questions. And you know that compulsory means that you have to do all the questions on the paper. These questions are arranged in sections. There are 2 sections, section 1 and section 2. 1 mark is assigned for each question. Therefore, the total number of marks available for your English language paper 1 is 60 marks. Remember, we must do all 60 questions. So let's take a closer look at the various sections of our paper 1. So, section 1. Are you acquainted with how many questions are found in this section? If you said 25, then you are correct. Section 1 consists of 25 discrete questions. This means that these questions are not based on reading comprehension or extracts, but rather require the completion of sentences based on sentence structure and what the words imply in a certain context. Since the words used in the options are often unfamiliar or are familiar words used in an unfamiliar way, discrete questions demand that you have a good vocabulary. So, in section 1, marks will be awarded for the ability to understand meanings conveyed through word choice, grammar, syntax, sentence structure, punctuation, and paragraphing. In this section, questions would be based on antonyms, synonyms, spelling, error recognition, etc. So let's take a closer look at Section 2. We just mentioned that there are 25 discrete questions in Section 1. Therefore, that means that the 35 questions remaining are found in Section 2. Section 2 consists of reading comprehension items based on 5 stimuli as follows: 1 poem, 1 literary extract, maybe a novel, a short story, a biography, a diary, or a letter. It may also include 1 expository extract, which may be taken from an encyclopedia, a report, a newspaper article, a transcript, or piece of a conversation. Section 2 also includes argumentative extracts, maybe from an advertisement, speech, or a letter to the editor. And finally, there are always visual extracts in your Section 2, where you will have questions based on maybe a table, chart, diagram, map, cartoon, or even an advertisement. So, in Section 2, marks will be awarded for your ability to 1. Obtain information accurately. Also, you must be able to grasp insights from reading literature and recognize and evaluate opinions expressed in various forms. So what exactly are the possible topics or outline of our English language paper 1? The possible topics that we may see on this paper are synonyms, antonyms, sentence completion, usage, error recognition, construction shift, equivalent sentences, and comprehension, as we stated, in the form of poetry, narrative, persuasive, or expository pieces. It must be noted that for the purposes of our English language past paper reviews, we will be using these self-same topics to go through past paper questions. So let's get started. Today, we will be looking at synonyms. Just a reminder, a synonym is a word that is similar in meaning to another word. Thus, a synonym is a word or phrase that means exactly or nearly the same as another word or phrase. Examples of synonyms include incessant and endless, or neutral and unbiased, or forlorn and unhappy, or garrulous and talkative. Let's take a look at May-June 2005, where there were questions asked on synonyms. It is important that we read our instructions carefully. So let's read the instruction together. It says, in items 1 to 3, each of the sentences contains 1 underlined word. Select the option which is nearest in meaning to the underlined word and mark the corresponding space on your answer sheet. It must be noted that you will not see the word synonym in your instruction, but from implication, where we see nearest in meaning or we may see closest in meaning, we know that we are being asked for the synonym of the underlined word. So let's go on to number 1. It says, the new employee seems to be a very zealous worker. Our underlined word is zealous. We are asked for the nearest in meaning of zealous. A, untrustworthy. B, enthusiastic. C, skillful. Or D, awkward. Zealous usually refers to action that is filled with vigor. And so, the best option for a synonym of zealous would be B, enthusiastic. Let's move on. Number 2. We found it very hard to put up with his belligerent attitude. Our options are prying, destructive, quarrelsome, and uncharitable. The word belligerent means hostile or aggressive, and so our best option for a synonym would be C, quarrelsome. Number 3. He did everything possible to thwart the efforts of the relatives to have the will probated. We need to find a synonym for the word thwart. Our options are A, weaken, B, ridicule, C, obstruct, and D, defy. If you're familiar with this word thwart, you will know that it means to prevent someone from doing something. And therefore, our best option again for a synonym would be C, obstruct. So let's move on to another series of synonyms. In May-June 2007, there were questions based on synonyms. The instruction reads, in each of the sentences given, there is one underlined word. Select the option which is nearest in meaning to the underlined word and mark the corresponding space on your answer sheet. The first one reads, although some words and forms of addresses are archaic, most people still understand what they mean. Our options are old-fashioned, misused, unacceptable, and unconventional. If the word archaic means very old, then we sure will have to place A as our answer. Therefore, the synonym of archaic is old-fashioned. So let's move on. Number 2. A citizen is expected to show some amount of allegiance to his native land. The options are obedience, loyalty, homage, and respect. The word allegiance alludes to strong commitment. Therefore, the synonym of allegiance would be best suited at B, loyalty. Number 3. The bookkeeper said that our account was dormant. This is similar to that volcano in St. Vincent that was dormant since 1979 but erupted only recently. The options available for a synonym of dormant are A, inadequate, B, transferred, C, overdrawn, and D, inactive. We know that the synonym of dormant is inactive. Number 4. The notorious gunman terrified his hostages by his callous manner. A, unfeeling, B, stern, C, restless, and D, passive. Do you know what the word callous means? Well, it usually alludes to someone who is cruel and insensitive, or some persons say that a callous person is a heartless person. Therefore, I'm sure you're thinking what I'm thinking. Our synonym of callous would be A, unfeeling. And lastly, for May-June 2007, on synonyms, we have: the employees were skeptical about the usefulness of the new procedure. We have A, enthusiastic, B, concerned, C, forewarned, and D, doubtful. If somebody is skeptical, that means that they're not easily convinced or they have their doubts. So therefore, D is our correct answer as a synonym for skeptical. Let's move on to another series of synonyms found in May-June 2009. At items 1 to 5, again, we were asked in each of the sentences in this section that there was one underlined word. We were asked to choose the suggested answer which is nearest in meaning to the underlined word. During the final stages of the trial, a new witness was called to corroborate the testimony of the accused. We are asked to find the synonym of the word corroborate. Our options are A, clarify, B, confirm, C, conclude, and D, complement. If we check the meaning of the word corroborate, we will find that it means to give support to, or maybe to verify. So therefore, to corroborate means to confirm. So our answer is B, confirm. During the rainstorm yesterday, the wind blew incessantly across the island. Our options for a synonym of incessantly are A, noisily, B, furiously, C, constantly, and D, occasionally. Incessantly means constantly, and so our answer is C. The stricken family thanked the entire community for their benevolence across the island. In trying to choose a synonym for benevolence, our options are A, kindness, B, courtesy, C, tolerance, and D, friendship. I'm sure you're familiar with the elimination method, where we rule out options that could never be the answer. From A to D, we know that tolerance and friendship do not fit as synonyms of benevolence. However, given the context of the word used, kindness is the synonym of benevolence. So, students of grade 11, I'm sure that today's lesson was helpful for your exam preparation. It is important for you to practice further and be intentional about widening your vocabulary in order to be an expert in this area. Therefore, much continued practice is needed so that you can become familiar with examination terms and structure. I also encourage you to look up the meanings of any unfamiliar word that you may encounter so that your vocabulary base will continue to widen. So, if you want to do well at anything, you have to be willing to put in the work. With that, I say goodbye for now until our next English A past paper review.